If you've been in IT for over 30 years, you're a survivor. Seriously. You've navigated Y2K, the dot-com bubble, the jump to virtualization, the mobile revolution. You've got the battle scars to prove it. But maybe when you look at today's landscape, all this cloud-native and AI stuff, you feel this weird friction, like your hard-won expertise doesn't quite click into place anymore. Well, you are not alone.
So let's just get right to it. The biggest hurdle for seasoned pros like us isn't about learning new things. We're good at that. The real barrier is having to unlearn the old rules, the architectural paradigms that are so deeply wired into our brains, the very things that made us successful for decades. You see, we're in the middle of this massive tectonic shift. We're moving away from the static, monolithic systems we mastered into a brand new world that is ephemeral, distributed, and asynchronous. And that change creates a ton of cognitive friction. Today, we're going to break down exactly why that is.
To really get a handle on this friction, we need to look at three huge rule changes, three paradigm inversions that are flipping the script on pretty much everything we thought we knew. First up, the shift from pets to cattle. For decades, we treated our servers like beloved pets, right? We gave them names, we memorized their IP addresses, we carefully nursed them back to health when they got sick. But modern cloud-native environments, they treat infrastructure like cattle, anonymous, disposable, and designed to be replaced, not repaired. Now, this change gives businesses incredible agility, but it creates this huge internal conflict for us. Your gut, your 30 years of experience, screams SSH into that server and fix the config file. But in a Kubernetes world, that instinct is not just wrong, it's actively harmful. All right, let's move on to the second inversion, the shift from deep complexity to wide complexity. Think about it. Legacy stacks like a mainframe or a classic LAMP stacks, Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP, they required you to be a deep expert in just a handful of tools. But today's cloud-native landscape, it demands that you have a working knowledge of dozens of interconnected tools. For a professional who's built a career on deep focus, the constant context switching you have to do just to trace one request across 15 different microservices is it's exhausting. And finally, we have the loss of the wall. You remember the wall. Historically, there was a very clear handoff. Developers wrote the code, and then they just tossed it over the wall to the operations team to run and maintain. Well, today, the shift-left movement has completely torn that wall down. Developers are now expected to own the whole pipeline, from the infrastructure to the security. So if you built your career as a deep specialist, a pure networking guru, or a database admin, this sudden demand to become a generalist can feel like your expert status is being diluted. Okay, so we've covered the why. We get the psychology behind the friction. Now let's dig into the what, the four specific technologies that are causing the most headaches for veterans because they break all the old rules. First on the list, Kubernetes. What's the biggest mental block here? It completely abstracts away the operating system. It hides it. A seasoned pro looks for the server, the machine, but Kubernetes just hands you an API. We're used to building stable, long-lasting systems, but Kubernetes introduces this concept of pod volatility, which basically means our new server, the container, might only exist for a few seconds. This goes against every single instinct we've honed over the years for building reliable infrastructure.
Next up, asynchronous architectures like Kafka or serverless. These are tough because they just shatter the linear logic we're all used to. In traditional programming, A causes B, which then causes C. It's a straight line. But in these modern event-driven systems, you can't just put a breakpoint in and step through the code to find a bug. The state of the system is scattered all over the place, across different queues and topics. It forces you to adopt a completely new way of thinking about troubleshooting.
Third is infrastructure as code, or IAC. Now look, for those of us who grew up physically racking servers or clicking through a GUI for hours, the whole idea of representing an entire network in a text file is a huge leap. It feels abstract. The fact that deleting a single line of code can instantly vaporize a production load balancer feels totally disconnected from the physical reality we're so used to managing. And finally, there's modern AI. Traditional IT is deterministic. It's binary. The code either works or there's a bug. Simple. But AI models, they are probabilistic. They mostly work. So an experienced engineer sees the unpredictable nature of a large language model, like when it hallucinates and makes something up. And their brain immediately flags it as a bug that has to be fixed. But you can't fix it in the traditional sense. It's a feature that has to be managed. And that leads to a whole lot of frustration when our old quality assurance methods just don't apply. Okay, so we've painted a pretty challenging picture here.
The rules have totally changed, and the new tools feel alien. So what on earth do we do about it?
How do we bridge this massive gap without just throwing away decades of incredibly valuable experience? That is the million-dollar question. And the answer isn't about learning faster, it's about learning smarter, by leveraging the vast knowledge you already have.
The key is a technique called analogous mapping. Instead of treating these new technologies like they're from another planet, we map them back to concepts we've already mastered. This slide shows it perfectly. Think of Kubernetes not as some dark magic, but as a distributed mainframe job scheduler. A CI/CD pipeline? At the end of the day, it's just a set of really sophisticated batch processing scripts. And serverless functions are basically the modern, infinitely scalable version of those old CGI bin scripts we used to use to make web pages dynamic.
So here's the bottom line. Your experience is not obsolete. It is your foundation. It's your superpower. By mapping these new abstract concepts back to the solid first principles from your past, you can dramatically shorten that painful unlearning curve. This technique lets you use your deep knowledge as a powerful lens to understand the new world, rather than seeing it as an obstacle standing in your way.
So I'll leave you with this question. The next time you're grappling with a new technology that just feels impossible, don't just see it as something new to learn. Stop and ask yourself, what is this an abstraction of? What old mastered skill can I map to this new world? Because finding that connection, that might just be the key to not only surviving, but actually thriving in the world of modern IT.